because we've got a truly unforgettable Group F encounter to break down. We're talking about the Netherlands, the Oranje, stepping onto the pitch in Houston and delivering an absolute masterclass in attacking football. I mean, if you want a textbook example of how to completely dismantle an opponent on the world stage, well, this match is your perfect case study.
So let's just address the giant elephant in the room right away. 5. That is the staggering number of goals the Netherlands scored in this emphatic win over Sweden. To put that into perspective, putting 5 goals past a squad of Sweden's caliber isn't just a solid win. It is a massive declaration of dominance. It sends shock waves through the tournament, right? It literally forces every other team to sit up and take notice.
You've really got to frame this match as a huge statement for Ronald Koeman's men, because what we saw at the Houston Stadium, it wasn't some chaotic shootout. Actually, scratch that. It was more like a highly calculated demolition. The Dutch perfectly married 2 vital elements of the game. Just absolute rock-solid defensive discipline at the back and ruthlessly clinical finishing up front. They didn't just take their chances, they suffocated the Swedes entirely.
Moving into Act 1, blistering beginnings.
From the literal first whistle, the Dutch completely hijacked the narrative of this game. Just 5 minutes in, Brian Brobbey finds the back of the net, giving his team a total dream start. But he wasn't even close to being done. 12 minutes later, right at the 17-minute mark, bam, Brobbey strikes again for a rapid brace. So before we even hit 20 minutes, the Dutch are already sitting pretty with a 2-0 lead, entirely dictating the tempo and the energy before the halftime whistle.
Now, why was it so incredibly lopsided right out the gate? It all comes down to a massive tactical mismatch. On one hand, you've got the relentless, overlapping runs of Denzel Dumfries and Daniel Malen just tearing down the flanks. And on the other hand, well, you had a totally disorganized Swedish defense that simply had 0 answers. Malen and Dumfries combined beautifully, totally stretching that backline and completely unraveling them to set up Brobbey's second goal from point-blank range.
And here's why that specific moment is absolutely crucial. This wasn't just another group stage goal. When Brobbey slotted that home in the 17th minute, he didn't just get his brace. He literally etched his name into the history books. That strike was the 100th World Cup goal in the entire history of the Netherlands national team. I mean, what a way to hit a monumental milestone, right? Doing it in the most emphatic way possible. It was quite literally a dream start for the Oranje. Everything was playing out exactly to Koeman's master plan. For the Swedes, though, absolute nightmare scenario. They were left chasing shadows, desperately trying to catch their breath against the Dutch side operating on a totally different frequency.
All right, on to Act 2, the tactical battle.
Now, to their credit, Sweden didn't just roll over after that initial shock. They fought hard to get back into it. They actually shifted their tactical shape to a back 4, really just trying to stop the bleeding on those flanks. Then they started funneling their attacks through Alexander Isak and Yasin Ayari, hoping to spark some offensive friction. And hey, they did manage to put the ball in the net right before the half with a Gustav Lagerbielke header, but it was correctly ruled offside. The real reason their tactical shift didn't pan out, they just kept running face first into a brick wall. A robust Dutch defense anchored immovably by Captain Virgil van Dijk, who was standing incredibly tall under all that pressure.
Which brings us to Act 3, the super sub and the surge.
So if Sweden went into the locker room hoping for some dramatic second-half comeback, well, those hopes were completely crushed by the ultimate super sub, Crysencio's Summerville. This guy comes on and doesn't just add fresh legs, he instantly changes the entire geometry of the game. Making an immediate impact, Summerville expertly cuts inside to orchestrate this brilliant move, teeing up Cody Gakpo for an easy tap-in right at the 47th minute. The relentless pace the Dutch kept up in that second half was just staggering. Think about this timeline. Gakpo gets his tap-in at the 47th minute. Just 7 minutes later, boom, the 54th minute, Gakpo bags a brace of his own to make it 4-0. The sheer speed at which the Netherlands put this game totally out of reach is stunning. It left Sweden scrambling to find just a brief moment of solace before Summerville eventually delivered the final blow.
Let's actually break down the anatomy of that 54th minute goal from Gakpo, because it is a textbook lightning speed counterattack. It all started with a mistake, right? A slightly loose touch from Alexander Isak in the midfield. And man, the Dutch pounced instantly. Summerville slips this perfectly weighted ball to Gakpo, who cuts inside from the left wing and just unleashes a crisp, low shot past Swedish keeper Christopher Nordfeldt at the near post. Clinical, rapid, and absolutely lethal.
We should, of course, acknowledge Sweden's fleeting moment of success around the 59th minute.
Looking to make up for that earlier loose touch, Isak manages to slip a really sharp pass in transition over to Anthony Elanga. And Elanga kept his cool beautifully, slotting the ball right past Dutch goalkeeper Bart Verbruggen. It was a well-worked consolation goal for sure, and it actually sparked a brief little spell of Swedish pressure.
Finally, we reach the conclusion, the final blow.
Ultimately, though, Sweden just lacked that final touch needed to breach that incredibly robust Dutch backline a second time. And that set the stage perfectly for one last exclamation point. In the 89th minute, Crysencio Summerville, who, let's be honest, had been an absolute live wire since he stepped on the pitch, capped off his brilliant night. He takes the ball outside the box and just curls this magnificent right-footed shot straight into the bottom left corner. What a beauty. That officially sealed the emphatic 5-1 victory for the Netherlands.
Which leaves us with a pretty terrifying prospect for the rest of the teams in this tournament. Seriously, when you combine this level of ruthless, clinical finishing with a rock-solid defense led by Virgil van Dijk, who can actually stop Ronald Koeman's men? They've proven they can strike early, counterattack with lightning speed, and completely shut down an opponent's tactical adjustments. Definitely chew on that as the rest of the tournament unfolds. Thanks for hanging out with me. Definitely keep your eyes on the Oranje.